Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. Joshua. By JND Darby. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, truly furnished unto all good works. 2 Timothy 3 verses 16 and 17. Synopsis of the Books of the Bible. By John Nelson Darby. Joshua, chapter 2. Rahab, the grace of God setting up its way marks. The second chapter contains the interesting history of Rahab. How beautiful it is to see the grace of God setting up its way, marks from the beginning, that the eye of faith may know where to rest, when God was obliged to narrow his dealings with respect to man, and to limit himself in his relationship to man, until the precious blood of Christ gave that grace its full scope and liberty. Seed of the woman, seed of Abraham, seed of David, it narrows more and more. The promises even, as to the government of God, give place to the law, until a small remnant of Israel, proud in proportion to its poverty, becomes the vessel which contains the yet smaller remnant of faithful ones who were waiting for the redemption of Israel. And what shallow thoughts, though true ones, were found in the hearts of these precious saints, in comparison with the hopes of an Abraham and the solemn declarations of an Enoch. The Lord, ever perfect, ever precious, might well say, one understands it, although the depths of his heart are infinitely beyond our reach. I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I straitened till it be accomplished? But there have always been these signals for faith. If God acts, he goes beyond the limits of the existing dispensation and oversteps his established relationships with man. God's goodness not limited to the existing dispensation. It is thus that the divine nature of Jesus, and the divine rights of his person, manifested themselves. He was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This was the limit of his formal relationship with men. But if faith lays hold of the goodness of God, can this goodness deny itself, or limit itself to those who, for the time being, were the alone subjects of his dispensation? No, Christ could not say, God is not good, I am not good, to the degree you have imagined. How could God deny himself? The Syrophoenician woman obtains what she asks for. Precious prerogative of faith, which knows and owns God through everything, which honors him as he is, and ever finds him what he is. Rahab's faith. Wherein was manifested that faith in Rahab which the apostle cites as a pattern. Admirable proof that the way in which God acts in grace is before and above law, that grace overleaps the boundary which law prescribes to man, even while maintaining its authority, an authority however which can only manifest itself in condemnation. What then was Rahab's faith? It was the faith which recognizes that God is with his people, all weak and few as they may be and not yet possessed of their inheritance, wandering on the earth without a country, but beloved of God. Rahab's identification of herself with God's people. If Abraham believed God when there was not a people, Rahab identified herself with this people when they had nothing but God. She well knew that the inheritance was theirs, and that, however strong their enemies might be, in spite of their walled cities and their chariots of iron, their heart was melted. This is always the case with the instruments of the enemy, whatever appearances may be when the people of God are under the guidance of the Spirit of God in the path of obedience which God has marked out for them. Thus, in the midst of heathens, this poor simple woman, a bad and despised member of an accursed race doomed to destruction, is saved, and her name is a testimony to the glory of God. Her house, recognized by the sure mark, the line of scarlet thread, becomes the refuge and the security of all who take shelter in it, trusting to the promise given.